This is the second part of our ongoing discussion of propaganda. We're taking a look at some of the foundational elements of propaganda before, where it comes from, some of the ideology, and how ideology is influenced by whatever economic system you have, and how the superstructure then imposes and enforces ideology, enforces propaganda based on whatever the base, whatever economic base you have. We're going to take a look at some more specific elements of propaganda today. Propaganda in general, these are just ideas that are designed to compel immediate reactions. And so as you start to thinking about what's the difference between art and propaganda, that might be one element, right? And it's not as though to say that art can't evoke immediate responses, right? But generally, propaganda is supposed to be much more kind of immediate, emotional, tied to not only your emotions but also kind of this compelling to act in a very specific sort of way. So it's a select, but it's also the selective presentation of ideas to encourage a particular way of seeing the world and how to behave in it, right? So it's going to get a little bit murky as we go through, what is propaganda, what is art. I just want you to have some foundational elements of this. You might start to lose your way a little bit throughout the semester and start to think, I'm not sure what's the difference between art and propaganda. That's okay. That's normal. And then I'm going to help you to kind of work your way through it as throughout the semester, right? So just be prepared for that. But it's a foundational element. Propaganda is designed to get us to feel a certain way, to act a certain way, and it's also to think a certain way about seeing the world. And again, art can kind of do that as well, but there's going to be some differences that we'll notice throughout the semester. Here's a quote to consider. Modern propaganda is a consistent, enduring effort to create or shape events to influence the relations of the public to an enterprise, a group, or idea, or a group, right? So it's kind of focusing on someone in power, right? So that's another element of propaganda, is it generally relates to those in power and serving those in power's ends, right? Whatever their objectives are. It involves the practice of creating circumstances and for creating pictures in the mind of millions of persons. And so here we see a kind of a propaganda element of peace, right? But how does peace achieved? It's achieved through war, through violence, or through guns, right? And so you need that strength in order to attain peace. And so this is getting us to think very simply about a very complex issue, and that's generally what propaganda does. And it's also compelling us to act, right? So that when we see a gun, it kind of has this emotional response to us, and we start to think, my life's in danger, therefore I need to react, right? So that's an element of what propaganda does. I wanted to show you a clip from Darren Brown. I don't know if you're familiar with Darren Brown. I love his videos that he does. He's kind of a magician mentalist out there, and I'm going to show you some elements of what he does as he goes forward. He kind of dabbles a little bit in propaganda, mind control, I guess, in that way. And so there are some mind control elements with propaganda.
Shopping malls, modern cathedrals to spending money. They're designed to disorientate us and make us stay longer than we need to. Every brick is there to manipulate us to buy. It's the perfect place to find a large number of compliant people to affect.
Welcome to the Wicked Centre Friday. We hope your shopping experience has been uplifting enough, and I'd like to bring to your pay attention some very special offers today.
What you hear in the background is a Tannoy announcement I pre-recorded and played through the shopping centre.
So why not come right on up and see for yourself?
After half an hour of absorbing it, they should be ready for a final message. Welcome to the Whitgift Centre, Croydon. We hope your shopping experience is an uplifting one, and I'd like to bring to your pay attention some very special offers today.
Details of our special offers can be found handily by the lifts. So why not come right on up and see for yourself? These offers will only be
Available for a short period of time, so all customers wishing to reach up and grab this exciting opportunity should do it now.
I was shopping around with my friends, and all of a sudden my hand just went up, and I don't know what happened. It was quite embarrassing, but I don't know, it just feels weird. We're just walking around, and we heard him speaking, and just everyone put their hands up at the same time.
So it's kind of weird that happened. But that's kind of how what propaganda does, right? It influences us, it shapes the way that we see the world, and it compels us to act with most likely not even thinking about it, right? So it's a way to bypass the frontal cortex of us thinking. And if you go back and watch this video again, you'll notice that the words that Derren Brown uses are very specific. He constantly uses the words hands or reach up, uses lift a lot, and so the idea is that he's putting these code words in their minds, and by the time when he gets to the end, they all do it without really without really thinking about it. And so, but that's kind of what propaganda does in some ways, even though this is kind of a magic trick or kind of a mentalist trick. It's in some ways what propaganda does, and what they've learned in the 20th century is they've weaponized propaganda, how the mind works and how we work. It's a way of influencing us, and so we have to think about the things that are surrounding us and how we respond to them. Thinking about the power of images, right? Propaganda uses the power of images in order to create these emotional responses, right? This image here is the image that changed the Vietnam War. It shaped our perceptions. This is called the Napalm Girl, and there was a photographer that went and was taking pictures of it. And this was after the United States bombed a village in Vietnam. And this girl at the very center, it wasn't that she was just running around, completely naked. Her clothes were burned off by the napalm that we were dropping. Right, we dropped napalm to burn the trees and to kind of burn the Viet Cong out. But this really shaped the image of what the United States was doing. It really helped to solidify the fact that we weren't just there doing noble, virtuous things. That when you're starting to affect children, we might be doing something that we need to rethink, and we don't need to be there. And so this really shaped public perceptions, and it changed the public's attitude about Vietnam. And this is the Napalm Girl. More recently, this was just taken a few years ago, but you can still see the scars that are on her back that she still carries today. And she's moved on with her life. She has a little baby there, and that, but the scars remain. And so it's just the power that images can have on us. Another one that's shaped the world that we live in today is the attacks on September 11th. That this has been emblazoned upon our minds and collective psyche that caused us to immediately react. Like when we see this image, it causes a very visceral response. And so propaganda uses images in order to create very direct emotions and direct actions, right? So I just wanted to show these images. Not that these images are necessarily propaganda, but they're just getting you a sense how propaganda, kind of works and getting us to think and shape the way that we see the world. Getting back to that handout that I wanted you to print out, right? This one. We've gone through, the part 1 here. We're going to take a look at part 2 and then part 3 and 4 a little bit later. But just kind of continuing on, we've talked about propaganda. Let's take a look at agitated propaganda. Agitated propaganda is propaganda that is designed to promote dramatic change, generally through emotions like fear, hate, and anger, right? And so again, it's just a way to get us to immediately react. And generally, the way that propaganda tends to work is it gets us to be afraid. And we'll see that throughout the semester. And then because we're afraid, we're not thinking, we're just thinking about survival, we're thinking about our defense. And so we just react. And so those that deal and dabble with propaganda know that. And so they tend to use fear as a way to manipulate others. And so agitated propaganda is designed to prompt immediate dramatic change through emotions like fear or hate. Take a look at an example of agitated propaganda here. This is a commercial that Apple used in 1984.
Secure from the pests of their is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. They shall form themselves to death, and we divide them with their own countries. We shall prevail. On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
So this commercial is designed to be agitative, to get people to think that IBM, the film, or the film and the book, some of you will be reading 1984, is Apple is just kind of this big entity that's causing people not to think. They're considered the big business, the big corporation, and Apple is the one that's going to break free from the power structure. And so if you're an IBM person, then you're just manipulated. But if you're a free thinker, you're going to buy into the Apple, right? So that kind of agitated propaganda. Here's another example of propaganda as we see here. This was used during World War II by Dr. Seuss, no less, as we see at the bottom, but getting us to think about an emotional response about how we view Japanese and Americans of Japanese descent, right? So this idea of the complete of how many people there are from Japan or Americans of Japanese descent coming from let me see here, from Washington to Oregon to California. The Honorable Fifth column, here's a reference to the communists, and these are giving out TNT for them to go out and to then to be explosive, right? To undermine the system. So again, this is getting us to think about fear. So then that will shape the perception of how we see people of Japanese descent, right? Or we see this one about Barack Obama, comparing him to the Joker, an agent of chaos. So this is again getting us to think of like an emotional response, or how we're supposed to respond and react to that. Taking a look at integrative propaganda, that different type of propaganda. Is propaganda that is designed to incorporate others into a specific line of thinking. The idea of integrative propaganda, like the term suggests, integrative means to come together, to collaborate, to join. So this is a propaganda that's designed to say, hey, be one of us, right? So what we see here on the left-hand side is some Nazi propaganda that says the forehead's fist chooses the shoulder, right, as the soldier, sorry. So this is the idea that we need to, work together. We need to collaborate. Come join us, and come join the cause of the soldiers and taking over Europe. Or over here we see on the right-hand side Hitler's youth come and join, Hitler and be part of this what they're pretending is a great movement. But of course, again, they're demonstrating the blonde hair, the blue eyes, right? The certain type of people that they want part of this. But again, an integrated propaganda doesn't necessarily have to be, destructive and harmful like we see with the Nazis. The church uses integrated propaganda all the time, right? So we see here some old images that you would see probably in like the New Era or something. We have the penguins where it says choose, good and evil are polar opposites, and I think in terms of integrative is you want to join the group, right, rather than going your own way. This is the narrow path to righteousness. So try to join the group. Or questions, we have answers here. Come join us. Come read the scriptures, right? Or this one, be a strong link rather than a weak link. You're the one that will make the difference, right? Come and join us and be part of it. Or standing tall on your knees, right? Standing tall in faith. Or need to talk, you can use this old outdated cell phone. The idea of prayer, right? Connecting with God. Or some music can hurt you, right? So the idea of shaping our perceptions, right? So that is what integrative is. Propaganda is to shape our perceptions to become part of a group. That's to unite us. Soft propaganda is propaganda that reinforces the status quo, the normal, the way of doing things. It suggests that everything is normal, so you should be pacified. You should be fine with it. We saw this before with the freedom of speech with Norman Rockwell's The Status Quo here is this is the typical American family. This was done during the 1930s, during extreme poverty, the Great Depression, and also during extreme racism with the immense amount of lynchings that were happening throughout the United States, not just the South, but throughout the United States. And so The idea here is that everything's fine, everything's normal, just be happy because we live in this great country. Don't look deeper, don't look too closely, right? And in a lot of ways, the United States is great, but in a lot of ways, they have a lot of darkness to them too that we need to take a look at so we can continually improve. Or here we see the freedom of speech, where a guy goes into a town hall and has the voice to speak. And so again, this is part of soft propaganda where you are suggesting that, this is what makes America great, democracy. But again, if we look deeper, we have to think, okay, well, who has the freedom of speech here? What gender has the freedom of speech? What race has the freedom of speech? And so, the soft propaganda here is everything's fine, don't question it because we're great, right? We don't need to question, right? Or we see this in films all the time. Top Gun, there's a new one coming out soon. I guess whenever the coronavirus is over. But the idea of Top Gun, similar to a lot of other films, is everything's great in the United States is number one, is the message, and we're all working to become better. We're all working to become like Maverick, and why question anything or the pursuit of happiness, even though Will Smith in the film is struggling to sell his medical imaging equipment and struggling then to become part of Wall Street or I don't know if it was Wall Street, wherever it was. I think he was in San Francisco. But he's trying to become part of the business world and to live that American dream, even though he's having difficult times. He eventually, not plot spoiler here, but he eventually does, right? So even though the system might not be great, it's still going to work out and still going to be better than anything else, is the message of soft propaganda, so why question? I wanted to turn to the Lego movie to see kind of the extreme example of soft propaganda. So be thinking about soft propaganda as we take a look at this next clip.
Good morning, apartment. Good morning, doorway. Good morning, wall. Morning, ceiling. Good morning, floor. Ready to start the day. Here it is. Instructions to fit in, have everybody like you, and always be happy. Step 1, breathe. Okay, got that one down. Step 2, greet the day, smile, and say, good morning, say. Step 3, exercise. Jumping jacks, hit them. 1, 2, 3. I am so pumped up. Step 4, shower. And always be sure to keep the soap out of your ass. Shave your face, brush little fruit, comb your hair. Wear clothes. Almost forgot that one. No, not that. Wrong. And that's it, check. Step 9, eat a complete breakfast with all the special people in your life. Hey, Planty, what do you want to do this morning? Watch TV? Me too.
Hi, I'm President Business, President of the Octad Corporation and the world. Let's take extra care to follow the instructions or you'll be put to sleep. And don't forget Taco Tuesday's coming next week. That's the day every rule-following citizen gets a free taco and my love. Have a great day, everybody.
You have a great day too, President Business. Man, he's such a cool guy. I always want to hear more of what... Wait, did he say put to sleep?
Tonight on Where Are My Pants? Honey, where are my pants?
What was I just thinking? I don't care. Step 11, greet your neighbors. Hey, Joe. Hey, pal. Oh, hey, Surfer Dave. Hey, bro. Oh, good morning, Sherry. Oh, hey, Jasmine. Dexter. Angie. Loki. Bad Leroy. Fluffy. Fluffy Jr. Fluffy Sr. Jeff. Meow. Step 12, obey all traffic signs and regulations. Step 13, enjoy popular music.
Jump the charts again. Everything is awesome.
Oh my gosh, I love this song.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool. Everything is awesome. And we live in our dream.
Always use a turn signal. Park between the lines. Yes. Drop off dry cleaning before noon. Read the headlines. Don't forget to smile. Always root for the local sports team. Always return a compliment. Hey, you look nice. So do you. Drink overpriced coffee.
No, it's $37.
Awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Did you see where are my hot eggs last night.
Instructions coming in from Central. Okay, it says here, take everything weird and blow it up. All right, Mr. Let's make it look exactly like it does in the instructions. Hey, buddy, I need a 1x2 keyhole.
No problem, Michael.
There's 2x2 macaroni over here.
2x2 macaroni flying in. Here's one, Mel.
Change book, come on, everybody.
There, Roger.
Coming at you.
Works over here.
Thanks, Gail.
Hey guys, watch me throw this down.
Man, I feel so good right now. I can sing this song for hours. When you're part of a team. Woo!
So what we see within this, I mean, it's kind of picking apart a lot of. I mean, for a kids' movie, it's actually quite in depth and insightful. But what we see is soft propaganda, right? And how soft propaganda functions. It tells us that everything is awesome, everything is great. Just all you have to do is follow all of the rules. Don't think deeper. Don't question. Just follow your political leaders. Follow the industry, Wall Street, the business world, and you will be fine. They're going to take care of you, right? So just accept the way things are without questioning. And that's what soft propaganda is, right? You don't question the, what is it, $36 cup of, let's just say it's hot chocolate. We just buy it because society tells us that's what we're supposed to do. That's where our status is based on, right? So it's kind of an interesting commentary on how soft propaganda works. Black propaganda, taking a look at other elements, black, white, and gray propaganda. Black propaganda uses exaggerated or outrageously false claims to control and manipulate others. And here's some more Nazi propaganda. This says who is responsible for the war. It is who is responsible for the war. It is the Jew. Here pointing the finger, so they're blaming the Jewish people for World War I. Or who's the one that's behind the curtain, right? Is the Jewish individual. If we pull back the curtain, then you can see the destruction of Europe, the destruction of the world. Is the Jewish individual that's promoting this destruction. And so the idea was to create these very extreme reactions. It's also related to agitated propaganda, right? The fear and to create this hatred towards a group of people, right? So this is how Goebbels and the like used propaganda to shape the minds of the Germans and to elicit their hatred against a group of people, right? Or we see the black propaganda here, where you see a physician who's saying that this is, his brand of cigarettes because I guess they're less irritating and it's toasted. I don't know what that means, but they're mainly just trying to sell, right? It's an outrageously false claim. It almost makes it seem because the physician is smoking it, then it's healthier than the other cigarettes or something weird. Or this one's kind of interesting. This is a 1922 film that was done, I think, this was done by Thomas Edison. Oh no, I don't know if this was done by Thomas Edison. But it was a 1922 film anyway. It's a silent film. They recently added some sound to it. So if you ever get a hold of it, Trapped by Mormons, it's kind of an interesting tale about a member of the church, a missionary that goes to England. And mainly why he's going to England is to convert women to be one of his many wives. And so you see this guy here, and it kind of makes him as a monster, right? Kind of makes him look like an octopus, like Doc Ock or something. And he's going to grab all these women to control them, right? So black, outrageously false claim in order to create a specific response. White propaganda is things that are mostly true and generally comes from a neutral source or a non-hostile source. So we see here, you're smoking. When you smoke, your child smokes. That's mostly true, right? But it still is propaganda. I mean, it's designed as actually agitated propaganda as well, as getting us to think about the effects of that. And again, propaganda can be done in very negative ways, and it can be done in very positive ways, right? Getting people not to smoke. is something that's positive. But again, it does kind of oversimplify things, or a quick death with a bullet versus a slow death. But the idea is that they're both going to kill you, right? So again, it's mostly true, right? But it's kind of an oversimplification as well, right?
Is there anyone out there who still isn't clear about what doing drugs does? Okay, last time. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
So this came out when I was a kid in the 80s, and the whole idea was kind of a Nancy Reagan campaign to say no to drugs. And it's mostly true, right? Your drugs are harmful, but again, it's a kind of an oversimplification. But anyway, it's that idea that it's mostly true. And then there's gray propaganda, right, where black propaganda is exaggerated. White propaganda is mostly true. Then we can make some assumptions on what gray propaganda is. Gray propaganda is things that use half-truths. The source may or may not be known, and they are using half-truths. And here's an example of gray propaganda. Let's see if I can get it to work. Oh, my computer decided to freeze up for a second.
Your living room is the factory. The product being manufactured is you.
So what we see within that particular commercial is the idea that it's, there's some truth that advertisements do influence us, but then the question is to what extent do they influence us? And so it's partially true and partially an oversimplification, which is great propaganda. So just to give you some insights into what we're going to be taking a look at in the upcoming Zoom meeting that we'll examine is this idea of what is, right, what is white, black, or gray propaganda, right? So I'll give you kind of a preview to some of them that we'll take a look at. We'll probably take a look at a few more. But think about, is this white, black, or gray propaganda, right? Is this white, black, or gray propaganda? As we see the companies in the states, for the United States, suggesting what's controlling the United States, right? This one, guns don't die, children do, right? So is that, true, mostly true? Is it partially true, right? Or this one here, I think I still see some fat on her, especially when you squint a bit and the light hits her just so. And so this is the social spending. The Democrats and the Democrats here, the GOP, the Grand Old Party, the Republicans here, and they're looking to do budget cuts. What do they generally tend to cut? They tend to cut social spending. And then over here you have the military spending. We never cut that. Or Wall Street, we never tax that. So you have the sacred cows. So instead what we do is we turn to social spending to do that. So again, type of propaganda, but again, where would this be? Is this mostly true? Is this kind of exaggerated, or is it somewhere in between? And so another thing to think about, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in our Zoom session, is which one, white, black, or gray, is more harmful. And so something to kind of consider, which would be more problematic for a given society, white, black, or gray propaganda. Something to continue to think about.